All right, guys. So we got all those images downloaded so that we're ready to do the work that we're going to start with here. And the first step is to set up our first screen. So we're going to do all of the design stuff before we start working on the code, so that we have kind of the framework that we need to have to work through the code that we'll do. So first thing we're going to do is go um, in our code.org app lab, and we're going to go over to the left hand side, and we're going to switch from code to design. So we click on the design button, the design tab, and then we get into the design window that allows us to do all the things that we'll do to set up the screens the way that we want them to. The first thing we're going to do is change the name of the screen. So screen one is great, but doesn't really tell us a lot of information. So we want to make sure that we name things specifically enough that we'll know what we're talking about when we're looking at it. So instead of screen one, I'm going to call this the start screen. You could also call it launch screen. Either of those are fine, but start screen works for me, and it's simpler to type than launch. For this one, I'm going to use an image as a background. Now, the image I have isn't perfect. You could find a better image, but it's going to do the basic thing that I want it to do, which is give me an interesting look on the screen. So here's what I'm going to do. Where it says image, I'm just going to click the choose button, and then I'm going to click on the upload file button. That'll give me a list of all the files that are on my computer that I've downloaded. And for you, if you just downloaded all those images you're supposed to have, you should be able to get pretty quickly to the image that we're looking for. In this case, we're looking for the similar geometric shapes PNG file. And keep in mind, PNG images are those images that have that clear background. And that's going to be pretty significant for the work that we'll do here. So this is the figure. If I click on this, it's going to show me a preview like that. Don't really need the preview. What I do need is use that. So I'm going to click the choose button over here on the right, and that choose button will put that image into my screen. So if you're looking at the left-hand side of your screen here, you should be able to see the same thing I'm looking at right now, which is a screen that has that image as a backdrop. It's worth noting that that image was more rectangular, more long and short rectangular than tall and skinny rectangular. So it did squish that image in. The aspect ratio is not locked. It's still okay because, again, what we're looking for is a backdrop that's going to give us some interest, and I think this does the job. The next thing we need on this screen is a label that tells us what this is, right? So over here in the menu, I'm going to drag in a label. You can see that label comes in with teeny tiny words, right? I'm going to name this label the start screen label. Did I spell label right? I even spell label right. Every now and then I get a good spelling. The text for this label is going to be geometric calculator or geometry calculator. So that's basically the application we're going to do. Now, once I've got that, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to change the font size to something very much larger, right? So I want this text to be nice and large. And you can see that I'm getting some goofy things happening with my text on my screen. So I'm going to resize that box so I can get it the way that I want it to. One of the things I also like to do is make sure my text is centered within the box. That just makes it easier for me to center up that text when I'm done. I am going to drag that and kind of center it. I'm going to center it top to bottom a little bit, but really what I'm looking for more than anything is a place on my screen where I can see the words and they don't get cut up too much by background image. Anywhere that I want it is fine. You can put it all the way on the top, and that works pretty well. You can put it towards the middle. It doesn't matter. I'm happy with where it is right now, although I'm going to move it a little bit to the left. Again, we got our label. We've got it on the screen. We've got it looking the way we want to. Obviously, we can change the font color. We can do all those kinds of fun things, and I'll leave that to you to decide how to make that design really pop in your eyes. The next thing we need on this screen is a button, and so I'm going to click the button again from my toolbox here, and just drag a button in. And again, when we drag that button in, it comes in. And the button for me, I'm going to rename this start screen or start button. And then the text on the button is going to be start. I'm not going to edit the button further. To me, that's fine. It does the job. Again, you can change font size, colors, the type of the font, all those kinds of things. You have a lot of ability to customize in this setup, in this design window. So once I've got this done, really, this is my first screen the way I want it, the way it's going to need to function. So I'm in a good place, and that'll be the end of this video. The next video, we'll talk about our next screen. So what happens when we click that start button? Where do we land? Again, we'll talk more about that in our next video.